What's going on? Shalom, shalom. We are the Israelite Preppers, and we were just talking about a couple of things. And mainly, if you look at the title of the video, we're talking about counting the cost. And what we're talking about really is how everything changes when you step into the faith and you come into the way. I mean, everything is pretty much turned on its head from how you look at things as far as your diet, how you worship, the day you worship. Your marriage comes into questions, friends and family, things like that. Everything comes into question, and just about everything gets turned upside down. And so I just wanted to do a quick, video regarding that and how things, whichever aspect you want to go into, but how things change, like almost a complete 180,
Yeah.
as far as counting the cost.
Well, I could say for me, over the past few years since I came into the truth, it has been a journey for me and it continues to be a journey. And I can say, as far as counting the cost, it has cost me some family members.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, some of my family members, it has kind of drawn them a little bit closer to me. And it really has been a journey for me. I can say kind of like a spiritual journey. I was just talking to my sister, and recently I know I do the head coverings, but I've done a little something different to my hair.
Okay.
And I was sharing that with my sister and my aunt. I don't share it with the rest of my family because, of course, as I have learned, as I have been in the truth and been on my walk, I've learned who is supportive and who is not.
Yep.
And you will learn that. Unfortunately, I've learned that I had to distance myself from my mom because she is not supportive, and she has actually tried to be a wedge between the two of us. So I've had to put quite a bit of distance between her and also between our children, which has been kind of like a flashpoint. And you also have to do that, ladies. That's really hard for us because those grandmothers, they want to have access to their babies.
Talk about it.
But I knew that I could not give her access to my children and still maintain that reverence and that honor to my husband, because my mom is going to undermine my husband and the vision that he has for our children. So I had to deny her that access. And that was very difficult. That was very hard. She took that very hard.
Yeah.
And our relationship has not recovered from that.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say that the Most High, since then, my aunt and I have gotten closer, and she's been a little more supportive. But I digress. I did send my sister and my aunt a picture of what I did with my hair. Yeah, and they were pretty supportive, and they've seen the transformation that has happened since I've gone into the truth, and they were like, yes, that it's fitting. It's kind of, they've seen how I've grown over this time, and the woman that I'm becoming, and they're like, this is fitting. And as far as dietary is concerned, for me, it has been more or less, that has been transforming as well. Um,
Now, before you get into the dietary,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to let you forget that point,
Yes.
but before you get into the dietary, you had mentioned off cam, we're talking about when it comes to family, friends,
Yeah.
things like that. You mentioned leaving and cleaving.
Yes, leaving and cleaving. Yes, because I had to leave my family and I had to cleave to you. And in the past, before we were in the truth, that was difficult for me. And I can say that before I was in the truth, I cleaved to my family before I cleaved to you, and that created problems
Sure.
in our house.
Sure.
And so once I was in the truth and I got into the right protocol, then I cleaved to you more than my family. And that was something that they didn't understand. They felt like, I was being oppressed. They felt like, because I was submitting to you as my head, they felt like, that, especially my mother, she felt like there was something going on. I had joined this cult, and she
I'm
tried
sure
to
some of you guys heard that before.
yeah, she tried to convince my whole family that I was in this cult and that, maybe she was gonna find my body and my kid's body somewhere. He had done something to me or something, you know, and um, and that was not the case. And so I do have a couple of family members that are like, hey, as long as, she's not locking her in the closet or something.
Yeah, I don't
whatever they're
abuse my
gonna do.
wife. I don't abuse my wife, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's just a leave. It's a leaving and cleaving thing. I mean, the model's right there in the beginning. And the man shall, leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife and things like that. That model's right there. And I'm saying this. We're doing this video because we know that there's a lot of people in the faith, even new ones, and they fear or they worry about the ridicule of the family or losing them.
Yeah.
So
and
that's rough.
That's what I had to do. I did have to face losing my family, and there was a long time that we did not communicate, and I didn't communicate with my family, and I still don't communicate with a large majority of them. There's just a few of my family members that I do communicate with.
Yeah.
And so, and even then, it's just here and now, and here and there, here and there.
Well, I mean, it's hard because whenever we take a new journey or do something different, whatever, we automatically want support. And there's nothing wrong with that. We automatically want our family support. We want them to kind of back our play, and sometimes that support is not always forthcoming. So you get disillusioned real quick. You're like,
because as women, when we learn stuff and we want to run our family and we want their support, we want to go and we want to say, hey, guess what I learned, and that's what I did at the very beginning. I went to my mom and I said, hey, guess what I found out? We're the people in the book. We're and she
was met with what?
She was not at all supportive, and hey, guess what? I found out that men can have more than one wife, and she was not very supportive.
And the funny thing is, when we go, it's kind of like when the Bible says, it's honey in your mouth and it's bitter to your stomach, stuff like that. When you first learn and you discover and your eyes open, you realize, hey, look, man, this truth, this is powerful, this is important. I start to see the world in a completely different way. And then when you go looking for support or try to tell someone else, and then it's just, so it just goes away. But I think sometimes what we have to remember is that, when the Messiah said, he did not come to bring peace, but a sword, and to put every man at variance with, put each man at variance with each other. I'm sorry, I'm paraphrasing there, but a man's foe will be they of his own household and things like that. And then he would, in other spots, he would say that, he that loves mother and father more than me is not worthy of me. That kind of thing. So we could lose family. And then you could gain family. You can gain a different family. You can gain a spiritual family. Shalom, shalom. I see you out there. You can gain a spiritual family out there. And, that's important. That's why people go in community. So they can have that other family.
And that's what I'm looking forward to, because I really want to be around some like-minded people.
Nothing wrong with that.
I want to have a big community of sisters that I could spend some time with and learn from.
Absolutely.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's what the video is. Counting the cost, because it's gonna cost something. It's gonna cost something. What it says that, be ready to depart from the old way of the flesh and put away. Yeah, Absolutely. You know, we got to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. So when we come into this truth, when we come into this knowledge, you, like I said, you figure out everything is completely different. You know, and what we knew before, some of us coming out of Christianity, is completely upside down. Okay, completely upside down. It's like, okay, in Christianity, the law's done away with. You come to the truth, no, it's not done away with. You know what I'm saying? In Christianity, you can eat whatever you want. Coming to the truth, no, you can't eat whatever you want. You know, Christianity, hey, the Sabbath is Sunday, the first day of the week. You come to the truth, no, it's not. It's the seventh day of the week, and it never changed. You know, so everything's complete 180, complete 180, and I'm telling you, it's gonna cost you something. It's like, oh, in Christianity, thou shalt not judge. Don't judge. Don't judge. Okay, but then when you come into the way, yeah, you judge righteously.
Yes.
Okay, you judge righteously. It's a complete 180, complete 180. And that right there, the truth, you know, it's sanctified by your truth. That truth, thy law is truth. Okay, the word is truth. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you embrace that truth, that's when people will depart from you. See, sometimes it's not going to be you departing from them. They're going to depart from you.
Yes.
Sometimes you're not even actively saying, hey, you know what? I'm not going to deal with you anymore. Sometimes that's the case. But in other times, it's like they depart themselves from you. You know, a lot of times I was on my regular Facebook, shalom. I would put little things, different truths on my Facebook channel, on my Facebook page, I should say, and people just disappear. You know, they're like, oh, well, brother, you know, we don't see the Bible like you, and you shouldn't judge people, and that, which I wasn't judging people, but, you know, that's what they, that's how they feel. And then, all of a sudden, if I post something silly, a joke or whatever, it's click, like, comments, you know, the page gets that long, and then all of a sudden, when I post something serious or the truth or something like that, everyone just kind of flee, you know. So, I mean, it's like you let your light shine, and then there it is, you know. You let your light shine, they will depart. They don't, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to know that, you know, that kind of thing. But again, count the cost. I also say one other thing is that when it comes to the Bible, and I'm starting to notice this, whether they're in the faith or whether they're not in the faith or whatever, when it comes to the Bible, I say that the parts of the Bible that you like does not challenge you.
Yeah.
It's the parts you don't like that challenges you, that stretches you. And people they just don't get it. You know, they don't get it. So it's gonna cost. Now, transitioning, we can talk about biblical marriage, obviously, when we can talk about, you know, coming out and some of the big transitions. But let me just ask you, why exactly, or how, I should say, are you embracing this whole new direction, this path that I'm taking us on?
What do you mean?
Downsizing, coming out of the house, transitioning from the house to maybe a trailer, then a trailer to community.
I can't wait.
So how do you feel about that?
I can't wait. I just remember, I just see, when I think back, all of those years, even before when I can say we had no religion. When we were just young, I was.
And by trailer, I mean RV or fifth wheel or something like that. But go ahead.
When we were young, when we were like 17, and I think you were 21.
Something like that.
Yeah, when we were first starting out.
A long time ago.
And we used to Dreamcast. You were.
Shalom. Thank you, M for Johnny. If I read that right. Yeah. Shalom.
We used to just talk about our dreams, and you used to ask me what did I dream about, and you used to talk about wanting a cabin in the woods, and so we didn't even know back then. And when I think back, and I was like, wow, the Most High was with us even then, and He gave you a vision even then. Yeah. And so I think back on that, and we didn't know His name. We didn't even have no idea of religion. And we just kind of stumbled our way through this thing, and He just kind of led us through and spoon-fed us this whole way and brought us to this point. And I'm ready. I'm just like, bring me there. I'm ready to see our dreams fulfilled, that he put in you all those years ago, and
Yeah.
I just can't wait.
Well, it's been a hard, rocky road. And like you said, when we began, we were not in the way. We were not in the
Yeah.
truth. And, we got married and, we did the whole 9 yards and everything.
Yeah.
And everything. And we were really young. We were really young, didn't have much money or anything like that.
Yeah, we
Nobody's
started
gonna.
out with a truck and a couch.
That's all I had.
We
Truck,
stayed
and I
on
slept
our
on
friend's
someone's couch. Yeah, so it was pretty humble beginnings. She hadn't at that time she hadn't gone to college and got her degree and all that stuff. Hadn't done any of that.
I had no
I hadn't done it.
ideas about even going to college. We were just two crazy kids in love.
That's about it. That's about it. And here, I've been married to this woman 23 years. So I'm in my 40s right now. So in my mid 40s, and I believe in commitment. I believe in commitment. I've been, like I said, I've been married to her 23 years, so I do believe in commitment. But I count the cost. One of the things, in life, there's detours. There's detours. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't able to kind of get to my dream because I wasn't even sure how I was going to do it. Make the cabin in the woods happen. I just wasn't sure until it got. Thank you, brother. I wasn't sure I was going to do it until it just got to this point.
Because we bought into America's dream.
Exactly.
We didn't listen to the Most High's dream. We bought into America's dream and we chased paper. For a long while, and we bought into Christianity, which said you want the kids, you want the house, you want the car,
the dog, the picket fence, everything.
Yes, and we didn't until you heard his voice.
Absolutely.
And we were in the Christianity. We did the whole Christian thing.
Oh, I was a good Christian. I was a great Christian. I was a super Christian. I was good for a while. I started off as a bad guy, kind of but I listened to the Christian doctrine. I listened to it and I followed it.
Yes.
I thought that was how you do it. I thought that's how it was. That's how you do it. Shalom. But I thought, being this super uber Christian was just, the way to go. Mm-hmm. But after a while, it just became unfulfilling. Okay. And, obviously I came in first. I led the way. My wife came along a little later. But she gravitated, towards it. Once she understood, she started gravitating towards it, and started getting deeper and deeper and deeper. So, it's just one of those things that, you actually do have to count the cost. It also affects your marriage, which means we couldn't have a Christian marriage anymore.
No.
We got rid of the Christian marriage and we wanted to do the Hebrew marriage, okay? Which means I had to embrace my role and she had to embrace her role. Mm-hmm. You got to count the cost. It changes. So as a man, I'll let her talk about the changes in being a woman in the role of a wife. Mm-hmm. Okay, but let me tell you, as a man, I had to be protector, provider. I had to nurture my wife. I had to figure out how to do that. But I had to see and look at the examples from, as far as the Bible is concerned, look at some of the patriarchs in the Bible. Well, what did they do? How did the elders come together? What happened? How did they look towards, their women? How did they take care of them? How did they provide for them? Things like that. I had to look at all aspects, okay? Like we couldn't just run around and just sleep with women and without any consequence, okay? It's fornication. Obviously, if you sleep with a woman who's married, that's adultery. Everything changes. Everything complete 180. Okay, so you cannot, we cannot live like the same way. So I had to look at my role and go deeper into it and say, okay, this is what it means to be a husband. And then outside the Bible, I'm looking at other community leaders. I'm looking at other people in marriage who's been doing it, who've been walking this walk longer than we have. Now, we've been married 23 years. But living like Hebrew Israelites, we still had to learn a lot, okay? And we're still growing, okay? It's not like we got it all figured out. We're still growing. We're still, still pushing forward. And then when we figure some things out, we talk to people. We'll watch videos. We'll talk to other people. We'll read books. We'll do whatever, right? once we figure a couple things out, then what we do, we start getting rid of Rome and get a little bit more Hebrew.
Yeah.
Okay, we take out a little bit of Rome, take out a little bit of Western mindset, and insert some Eastern mindset. Insert some Hebrew. That's what we try to do. Okay, just in culture, in lifestyle. Okay, in thought, in perspective, all that. So I had to change. I had to realize, okay, if you committed yourself to this woman, again, marriage, witness, agreement, consummation, you're married. That's marriage. So if you do that, what you take on another wife, same thing. It's committed. It's committed. Okay? You gotta be a man, you gotta provide for her. So with that, I'm just gonna transition to my wife and let her tell you the complete 180 and I guess I should say redefining at least Hebraically the role of a wife in her, a few words before we close out. But go ahead.
Counting the cost. So, coming into the truth and learning to be a submissive wife, that was, I don't want to say it was difficult, but it really was a learning experience. Because being a Christian wife, a Christian husband is difficult. I mean, not difficult, it's different from a Christian Hebrew husband.
Yeah.
Because in Christianity, a Christian husband, he kind of like pampers his wife.
Pretty much. Puts her on a pedestal.
Yeah, puts her on a pedestal. They would teach, be a student.
Yeah. I don't want my wife to yell at me.
Yeah, be a student of your wife, happy wife is a happy life.
Come on, talk about it. Tell him.
And just kind of like the anecdotes that they told, the stories that they told. The husband, he's kind of like bumbles around. He's not good with the children. The wife comes in
goddess
and
worship.
saves
You're right,
the day. And he's just kind of,
the bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
The bumbling idiot. Look at almost like 80% of your sitcoms when it comes to marriage and stuff like that. The husband is the bumbling idiot. The wife comes in to fix it.
He's an adult child.
Yeah, pretty much. You depict it as an adult child.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really what the husbands are, depicted as an adult child. But then you have to look at that a little differently.
Yeah, and so when you have that kind of dynamic, then as a wife, it's like in order to get anything done in a Christian household, I have to nag. So if I want him to bring home some milk, I gotta call 3 times. Hey, don't forget the milk. Hey, don't forget the milk. Hey, don't forget the milk. And if I want to get this done on Saturday, I gotta remind him several times and bug him.
She felt she had to do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm not saying that's what she needed to do.
No, I'm just saying you. That's the mindset.
That's the mindset, right?
That's the mindset. Is you got to stay on top of this husband in order to get things done. And so you feel like you have to be in control of everything in a Christian household.
That other dynamic, the woman had to train her husband.
Yeah, you had to train the husband.
Train the husband. And the other dynamic.
And anything you don't like about the husband, you just change it.
Absolutely. Now, don't get me wrong. She didn't train me.
No.
And I bucked the system.
Yes.
I bucked the system.
And so you always buck the system.
I'm like, no, you're not training me, so now we bumped heads on that. We bumped heads, and when I'm doing this, no, I didn't beat my wife.
No.
I'm just saying we bumped heads.
We bumped heads as a Christian household because you were always more of an alpha male type Hebrew type husband.
Yeah.
And so when in that Christian mindset, I was like, wow, my Christian husband is kind of broken. He doesn't listen. He's not listening.
So when I said earlier I was a good Christian, I was except in that area. Except that one. I just wasn't that good at it. I was like, man, I don't like this. This is hook burgers.
Because I remember a few times I called to see where he was and what he was doing and when he was coming home. And there was this one time he was riding around with his friends and he said, I'm going to be home when I'm going to be home, and hung up. I'm
sorry.
And I was like, well, then, So, and when transitioning into a Hebrew household and having that submission and giving up that sense of control, it's very freeing. It's a stress relief for me. I don't have to feel like I have to be in control of everything. And I did read Dr. Gina Murray's book,
Yeah,
and it
and
was,
we will be doing a book review on that soon.
yeah.
Be look out for that. We're going to do a book review. We're going to turn on the camera and we're going to talk about it.
I
Go ahead.
recommend that book to women and men.
Yeah,
alike.
she beat me to it. I'm gonna be honest with you. She read it, she beat me to it, she devoured it, and I said, okay, you know what, I need to read it. So,
Yeah.
but go ahead. If there's a tidbit in there that kind of changed your perspective on that, is there anything in there? Just a little.
I'm gonna save it for the.
You gonna save it?
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna save it just a little
bit.
bit. Okay, so that's what we want to talk about. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, but that's what I wanted to talk about. That it's a complete 180, and you got to count the cost. So if there's anyone who's brand new, coming to the faith or whatever, you got to count the cost, because everything you thought you knew before is gonna change. It's gonna cost you your old paradigm. It might cost you your old marriage. It may cost you some family and friends. You got to count the cost. Okay, you won't be the same. You won't be able to stay the same. It's going to cost you your diet. It's going to cost you, the time of the week, the day that you're going to worship. It's going to cost you a couple things, and that's if people, are brand new. Now, if you're in the faith and you're still growing and everything, it is going to cost you something, because you're going to have to give up some things. It costs you your idolatry. Mm-hmm. That's got to go. That is going to cost you that. Okay, mm-hmm. So people really gotta consider that. You have to count the cost. You have to consider the cost. It's gonna cost you those things. But the reason we're bringing it out is because I don't want it to be a surprise to you. Right. I don't want it to be a surprise to you that, fellas, you're gonna be looked at differently. That you're gonna have to be that leader of that family. You're gonna have to have a vision. You're gonna have courage to act on that vision, and you're gonna have to even if your wife is totally not sure. Now, don't get me wrong, the vision was given to you, but you're still gonna have to have that courage to be like, no, I think we should do this. I think the Most High, He put this on my heart. This is what we need to do. You're still gonna have to have the courage of that. Sometimes you're not gonna know for sure. Okay, Noah had to build that boat on faith. Abraham had to go out to that promised land on faith. He didn't know what he was gonna find. Okay, you gotta have that faith. You gotta be the man. Okay, ladies out there, things might change. Your husband, his attitude might change a little bit. Hopefully it is for the better, because he's trying to grow in the Most High Yah, but that is your head. Submit to him. Now the women who are not in the faith, and a few in the faith, which is sad, but the women who are not in the faith, submitting and assimilating to the husband is a scary thing. It's a scary thing, and they don't want to do it, and they kick and scream and bark and all this other stuff. Okay? But you got to count the cost. Because there's going to be some changes coming as you keep walking down this path. And I just don't want you to be surprised at those changes. Okay? Go ahead.
And just you knew I was going to
I knew you were coming. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, in addition to counting the cost, walking in the truth, sometimes our paths are going to lead us places that are deeper than just being in the truth, mm-hmm. and observing the law, and sure. observing our feast days, sure. and the Sabbaths and all of those things. Sometimes they're going to call us to things that are deeper than what we ever thought we were going to do. And what I mean by that is, like you were talking about when you were called to start teaching. Yeah. And you never thought that you would teach.
No. I was not even looking to teach.
Right. And so that's another thing that we need to count the cost for, because some of us, we are going to be called to teach, and we might not even expect that when we come into the truth, we're going to be teachers. Yeah. And some of us are going to be called to lead communities. Yeah. And we might not expect that we would be coming out of her and leading communities.
Yeah. counting the cost coming out of
Counting
her.
the cost.
You know,
yes.
where you live, it may cost you that. If you
Yes.
have to come out of her, my people,
Yes.
maybe you got to come out of the city. It's going to cost you that. It's going to cost you some conveniences.
Mhm.
Okay. Sometimes it may cost you a job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to count the cost. There's a lot of costs out there. I'm sorry. What was that last point you wanted to make?
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just being open to where the Most High is leading you.
Yeah.
It might go beyond the cost, maybe a little bit more than you are expecting. He may have some great things planned.
Absolutely. And you never know what he has in store for you. Plus, whatever he has planned for you is better than any plan that you're going to have for yourself.
Yes.
It's better. Even if you don't know, you don't understand, it's better than any plan you have for yourself. Okay? So whatever plan Noah had before building that boat was the best plan he could ever have at that time, okay? So that's it, okay? If Lot's plan was to stay in Sodom and Gomorrah, him coming out of it, okay, because the angel said, you got to go. That was the best plan he could ever have. You see what I'm saying? So whatever the plan that the Most High have for you, that's the best plan for you, period. Regardless of what you were thinking before, that's going to be the best plan for you. You count the cost, even if the cost is a little high, it's still going to work out better for you because it's his plan. Okay, that's going to be it. I hope this has edified somebody, guys. We are the Israelite Preppers, and until next time, praise Yah, hallelujah, and we'll see you on the next video.